So we are very honored to be able to just share some things that, you know, we do, some of the things that we experience, and there's some things that we just delve into because we want to, you know, grow. So we do Marriage Matters every morning at 8 o'clock. Now tomorrow we won't do it at 8 o'clock, it'll be 2 because I have to go to work. But it's very raw, unfiltered, unrehearsed. So if my daughter passed by and she on her way to work, I will stop what I'm doing. She could be teaching, and I'm like, bye, you know. And so it's just what we do. But we want our kids to know that, you know, we're investing in them. So that's one of the things that we like to do. So I am going to let my wife just say a few things. She don't want to say a few things, but she's gonna have to. But no, I just want you to just talk to them. We don't do this for us.
So we don't want to make it long and drawn out.
Yes.
We don't want to bore anybody. But we were just thinking about, you know, when we were early on in our marriage, what things we did do and what things we didn't do. You know, what do we know now that if we would have known then, we would be probably farther than where we are now. Mm-hmm. So we just wanted to share those things. And we called it the investment bank, or you make withdrawals, or you make deposits or withdrawals. So that's what we kind of focus on today.
All right, so we're gonna try to make this as interactive as we can so that we won't just talk. But I want you to, you know, I'm pretty sure at whatever stage you are in your marriage, so the question is, have you ever made an investment? So we're talking about whatever it is that you did with your money. If you made an investment, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you made some kind of investment.
He's right there.
You put some money, yeah, that's fine.
That's right.
That's an investment, there you go.
Right.
That's an investment.
Good
and
answer.
So when you make those investments, you know, whether you know what you're doing or not, you know, you hope that it gives a return because you invested something in it. So how did it make you feel when you made that investment? So
great.
It made you feel great?
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm grateful.
You're grateful.
You've been hanging out with me way too much.
Anybody else ever make an investment? Mutual funds? Did it go well? It didn't go well, but it was an investment. If you invest time in your kids, I mean, you a soccer mom, you driving the van, you gotta get them to and from. All the people in the neighborhood know you the soccer mom, so now your van is have to be lent out to all these other people, but it's an investment. Mm-hmm. And so what we wanna make sure that we get you to understand is that marriage is an investment, the relationship is an investment, and the goal is to get a return. So I missed that part. Yeah.
Skipped all of that. We want you all to define what an investment is in your own words.
So we're gonna start over here. Put you on the spot. What's in your own words? What is investment?
And you can put an investment in something. It's something you take the time and attention to, and detail that is important to you as well. That's mine.
Oh, good. I like writing stuff down. So, because when you start talking about things, you may say something that somebody else may not say. So I'm going to write down a couple of things. You said time, and you said attention. That's good to know. Okay. Another couple. But Jesse, come on, Brother Jesse.
Uncle Jesse.
Come on now, Jesse. Investment.
Just something that you put a lot of focus into.
Focus.
Just a commitment with me. Thank you. To me, an investment is, a lot of commitment, a lot of focus.
A lot of commitment, a lot of focus. All right. We got time. We got attention, focus, commitment. All right.
Next couple.
Let's see what we have. She gave it to him. You got it. It's because there's no wrong answer. It's whatever you think an investment
there is a wrong answer. There's a wrong answer.
putting time, effort in for sure.
Effort.
Yeah, make sure it comes out great for you.
All right.
Don't Google it.
We Googling it now with these answers. All right. But Tori.
He's a preacher, y'all watch out.
I think there's definite expression that has to take
Oh
place.
my. Close your
You know,
eyes.
if you're monitoring something closely, you want to see what your money is doing. It's the same
Okay.
thing in a relationship. I monitor. I pay a lot of attention to
Okay.
my lovely.
You just won a lot of brownie points for that one.
Look how red. Look how red her face is.
Go Mike.
Super blushing. All right.
Like Yoda.
Okay, Mike.
Investments. Is doing those things that perhaps some people don't seem that are important, but even the smaller things, they're important for each other. And we're also setting a time, kind of a timetable for our kids, for what to expect.
That's right.
As they're growing up, this is the way you should be expected for your husband to treat you, the way I treat your mother.
Yes,
The
sir.
way I do things that I don't have time. Well, you have to make the time record. Doing, effort. Yeah, effort.
Yes,
Everything
sir.
that you can put, fill in the blank with. You can't never stop from doing those little things. We had supper last night with my son, my youngest son. And for me, I was overwhelmed, and I was like, honey, we did okay, look at them and look at them. And they're happy, they're loving on one another, they're investing in one another as well.
Amen. That's
And it's
good.
just awesome to see that, it really is. So apparently we did something right,
Indeed.
And we even had a discussion about that, about disrespecting one another, like in events or what have you. So don't ever do that, son, don't ever disrespect your wife.
Yes, sir.
You don't want anyone to disrespect her either. She was meant for you to love her, take care of her, and all these other things. So there's not a limit that you can put on investing in your marriage.
All right.
Take that mic away from me. I haven't spoken up.
All right. He gave her the mic. Oh, my goodness. Hey, it doesn't matter, whichever one.
In my mind, when I think of investment, it's securing something in the future, whether it be financial, relationship, or just a common goal. So just a future security.
Okay, that's great. So, my wife is going to read the Webster's definition, and then I'm going to read you all's definition. And we're going to see which one is the best one. All right.
An investment is the account of devoting effort or energy to a particular undertaking with the expectation of a worthwhile result. That's Webster's.
This is you all's definition. I'm trying to make sure I paraphrase it. It says that an investment is time and attention and focus with commitment, effort, expression, monitoring, the small details with no limits, and securing a future. That's what an investment is for the people that are in this room.
They sound almost the same.
It sounds almost the same.
They
But
sound almost the same.
I didn't make that one, you all made this one. That's the difference. See, the difference is, instead of me reading this to you that somebody else came up with, you was able to say what you felt that investment was to you in your life and in your experiences. And you hold on to that expression, details, time, effort, focus. All those things are important because those things have to be, I guess, used every day. If you go lax in those things, then therein lies the enemy's way to bring about division, and we don't want division. So I want to bring us into this point, and I don't I wanna make sure that my wife keep me on point, so do you wanna cover those, you know what I'm saying, like for the scriptures?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so, these are some things that we talk about as far as the difference between when we talk about investments, withdrawals, and deposits. So right now, we wanna talk about the deposits, the stuff that we put in to the marriage, into the relationship. So one of the things that you already said was commitment. And it's very important that you are committed to the work, because the work is not always gonna be easy. It's not always gonna be lovely. She ain't always gonna act right. He's not always gonna act right. But the common denominator is, I love him, I love her, and we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna do what we need to do. Because in the end, when all the smoke and mirrors are gone, it's still us. So how do we stay focused and committed to paying attention to the small details so that we love each other in a way that is not expressed because people are looking. It's expressed because inwardly, this is how I feel. Because no matter what, we all in this room, different ages. We was one size one year, we was a different size another year, but the love's supposed to stay the same. Because you're supposed to still be dealing with the thing underneath the breastbone, and that's the heart. That's what you should be doing, because we know we're gonna change. I ain't like my hair to turn this color, but there it is. Now it's gray. So that's an evolvement. And then eventually, hey, if it don't grow right, it's coming off. So, you know, that's the way it goes. But one of the scriptures that no, I'm embracing you. Because one day I'm gonna have to cross that. All right. And so in 1 Kings chapter 8 and verse number 61, my wife gonna read that.
It says, and may your hearts be fully committed to the Lord our God, to live by his decrees and obey his commands as at this time.
At this time. And tomorrow at this time. And 10 years from now, we still living at this time. The commitment the commitment of love to each other, and then also obeying the Lord's command that we love each other. And that has many forms. It could be an expression of a touch. It could be nice, beautiful rose petals and stuff like that. It could be going on a walk. It could be doing something that you know your spouse like to do that you can't stand to do. That's love, okay? See, they start looking around in the room now, but that's love.
But that's called being committed to the commitment. And that's a big deal, and we talk about that all the time. You know, because if you're not committed to the commitment, then any little thing can just tear it apart. And that's not what we're trying to do.
And it causes division, and that's the main thing that the enemy wants to do. With relationships, if I can drive a wedge in between you two, because I know that one that chases 1,000, two chase 10,000, if I can drive a wedge in between you, then y'all don't have the power that you thought you did, or you should have. God gave you that power. He said one can chase 1,000, two 10,000. You can do that. But we also, like Brother Mike said, we got to pay attention to the small details. And you don't overlook those, because those are the things that keep everything together, the small things. So our next one is love. All right. We love each other. Little hug, little romance, torch. You know, I mean, we know that, but the Bible says, you know, we have to be able to walk in love. And walking in love has a lot of faces. And one of them means, like Brother Torrey talked about, we did a lesson on forgiveness, and we did not know what we were doing when we saw one view at like 30 minutes after. It was like, wow, what's going on? The next day it was unbelievable. Then by end of, it was 360 some odd views, because that was something that people deal with. You did something to me and I won't forgive you. But if I love you, my love is gonna cover a multitude of sins, and I'm gonna move forward, because I know that even though there may have been a mistake or whatever, that's really not you. So, what's our scripture for this? 1 Corinthians?
1:4-7.
All right, you gonna read it?
So, I always thank my God for you because of his grace, given you in Christ Jesus. For in him you have been enriched in every way, with all kinds of speech and with all knowledge. God does confirm in our testimony about Christ among you. Therefore, you do not lack any spiritual gift as you eagerly wait for our Lord Jesus Christ to be revealed.
So, we're showing the love that God showed us. And that means that you need to be willing to forgive. You need to be a good listener. I mean, you need to be showing those type of different aspects of love with your spouse. Not from a show, not from anything like that, but the fact that God loved you enough that he gave you chance after chance after chance after chance, in whatever stage in life that you were in, he gave you that opportunity to get it right, change, fix it, and he give us a do-over. Because if you get up in the morning, you got a do-over. You don't get up in the morning, it is over. So I thank God for the things that he has given us to be able to love each other through very great times and love through some difficult times. And the difficult times define what you have. That's when you find out what you have as a couple. When you go through some stuff that can just shake your whole body and break you. And you make it through that. And you don't allow nothing else to come between you. And you make sure that you recognize the devil for what he is and put him and keep him under your feet. You have won that battle. The war still rages on, because that's what goes on between the spirit and the flesh. It's always a war. But that battle when that enemy was trying to take away something that God gave you, that God imparted in you for your relationship, you win every time. So, first one was love. So the first one was commitment. The second was love. Honor. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. You want to read scripture for honor, and then we can go over there. Come on.
And so we have Romans 12 and verse 10. It says, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves.
Yeah, you got to be devoted. That means you got to sacrifice, because that's what devotion is. When you're tired and you don't feel like it, or whatever it is, you stay devoted to her. You stay devoted to him. You give them your time. You give them your effort. You give them your love, your listening ear. And sometimes you don't need to say anything. You just need to listen. It's not always about answer or trying to fix something, because as men, we're always trying to fix something. Some things don't need to be fixed. Some things just need to be listened to so they can fix whatever it is that they need to fix themselves. But honoring my wife, we don't do foolishness out in public where, you know, we arguing and everybody's trying to see what's going on. And it's a new movie for them. Now they don't have to go to the movies because we don't put on a show. We don't do those things. And I make sure that I talk to my kids about that too. If something is going on with us and it gets to that point, we are going to go and isolate ourselves and deal with that stuff in private. We're not going back and forth and doing all those type of things. Honoring my wife, she's a woman that wants the door open so she can get out of the car. Okay, so I'm going to go around that car and I'm going to open that door so that she can get down off the side of that truck into the ground, you know. But the thing is, that's the way that I honor her. When we go places, my focus, no matter what, and some days it's harder than others. When we go out and it's us, then my job is to make sure I honor her by making sure I pay attention. So I'm not looking all over the place. When we're in a restaurant, we engage. Now we have to taper what we're going to talk about, because we don't want to talk about work. And that's what we find ourselves doing. I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. So then we focus on us. What do we want to do? What in our life where we have a 22-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 17, and a 15. So we kind of gauge how are we raising the children? You know, what are we doing to help them? You know, and then also are we communicating in a way that's gonna make sure that they understand when they choose a mate that they don't go and choose somebody that's not just not right. You know, just totally the opposite of what we are. To be honest with you. So honoring my wife, gifts, roses, doing stuff unexpected. I need to do better with that. But what I will say is, you know, just focusing on, like Brother Mike said, the small things, the details, that honor, making sure that she understands that, hey, no matter who it is, I'm the queen bee. And she needs to know that, you know, and if you don't do it, somebody else will. So you definitely don't want that. So you want to make sure that you honor your wife, and then you don't do anything to dishonor her, you know. So, you got anything now? Yes, sir? All right. So our next one is what?
Our next one is patience.
Patience.
So Proverbs 19 and 11, it says, a person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense.
Patience. Because I know that for us, I'm way more patient than she is. She don't have to look at me. I already know I'm more patient than she is. But what I will say is this, is that you have to be a strong individual to overlook an offense and not keep like a running record of a hurt, because your marriage will not be worth anything because you will not grow if you always keeping records of offenses. So for my wife and myself, when we talk about the patience piece, if there's something that I'm believing and trusting God for her, because I may see something that could be improved in the same way with me, then we have to have patience, because unless it's a miracle, I ain't changing overnight. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna take some time. It didn't take me overnight to get that way. So I hope you don't expect it. It just go, nah, he can do the miracle. And that's what it'll be. But for us, we need to understand that the person is also a child of the King. And they too, if they acknowledge that they have an issue, then there goes part of the prayer. They're gonna change over time. Now, supernaturally, it could happen. Hasn't happened to me, but it could happen to somebody else. But the main thing is, if I am wanting to please God first, and I'm wanting to grow into a better me, for me and for her, then I'm going to get better at whatever that is, and vice versa. That's the patience piece, because everybody's not on the same growth scale. Okay, so when people do the weird things like, what's the thing that everybody talks about that says like the toilet seat or stuff like that, that gets on my nerve, you know, that kind of stuff.
Towel on the bed.
You know, that kind of stuff. I'll tell you, it's flop in there. Okay, but the thing is, but we understand that. So then you have to just be a little bit more observant. You need to be more understanding, because these are the things that you want to see change, or you want to see improve in your mate. So let's go to the next one. Okay. So let's talk about some withdrawals, because these are very important. First withdrawal. Now deposits. All those things that we talked about, things you want to put in. Withdrawals. First one, unforgiveness. You gotta let it go. You gotta let that stuff roll off your back. Ooh, this is what she said. Yeah, she said it. And when she said it, she meant it. But are you willing to forgive? Are you willing to forgive? He said that, and when he said it, he meant it. Okay. But are you willing to come together and understand that, one, if you really want to make your marriage grow, when you have an offense and you know that you have hurt this person, then you don't go to sleep until you get it right.
That's good.
5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. We don't wait that long. No, good well, we gotta go to work. But it's fixed. I can go to work happy, knowing that I ain't gotta come back and deal with that same thing. You get me? The only other piece is, if we can't get it resolved, then we agree that we gonna table it, and then we gonna come back to it. Because if you don't, and that stuff keeps festering, that unforgiveness, you're not gonna grow. Because it's always gonna be looking back. But you can never see what your future's like. So unforgiveness, we don't want that.
And in the meantime, if you have to table it, make sure you pray over the atmosphere of your home. We've been talking about that for a very long time. Because when you pray over the atmosphere of your home, and for God to just be present, so that the words will come out of your mouth the way they're meant to be received, and that the receiver gets it the way it's supposed to be, and not adding offense on top of offense. So that's very important.
You don't want to you really don't want to tear your spouse down. And so when we talked about on the deposit side about honor, you don't want to tear them down. You know, we say things sometimes, you know, we shouldn't, but you need to be willing to ask for forgiveness, and you need to be able to say, I'm sorry. Pride will kill your relationship. You cannot be a prideful individual that's not willing to realize that you said or done something that was wrong, inappropriate. If you can't do that, you're gonna really struggle. And you're not gonna see the growth that you want to see, because you yourself is causing the relationship not to function well, or you causing it to be stagnant because it can't grow when we're prideful. So another withdrawal that needs to be anger. Be angry and sin not. If you, like my wife said, when we know we're gonna have to deal with a difficult type of conversation between us, she can be mad all she wants with me. We're gonna pray so that we can reduce some of the negativity in the atmosphere, so that way we can be able to have some kind of a decent conversation. So I don't get angry with her. I don't get upset. But anger means you out of control. That's what that means. When you get angry at somebody, you are out of control. And whatever comes out of your mouth, that's it. And because you said it in anger, it's going to be difficult for you to fix that. And you will be able to, as long as you ask the master to give you what you need in order to reach your spouse where you are. But anger, it is a foothold for destruction, and you don't want to do that. If you know you're getting upset and you're getting to the point where you're getting angry, you need to get up and go step away or do something so that you can cool off or whatever it is you think you need to do. But anger, no. Okay, go with that.
So the last one we'll talk about is not listening to your spouse, ignoring body language, being preoccupied, not being fully engaged, and not willing to compromise.
Start with the first one, because we need to touch on that. So when we talk about not listening to your spouse, we did not say not listening to your wife. Okay, let's make that very clear. We said not listening to your spouse. So that means either you're not listening to your wife or you're not listening to your husband. But the first thing is ignoring body language. You already see that she's kind of ticked off at you. So why are you going to add fuel to the fire? If you know she's ticked off at you, then you need to start thinking, what did I do? What did I say that may have caused this to happen? Did I forget a deadline? Or what did I not do? Or what did I not say? So if she come in the house and she got her nails done and her eyes arched, and you just You don't know anything. You know, I'm speaking from experience. You understand? Yeah. He's looking for Jesse. He's looking, he's like,
All natural.
but it could be something like that. And so and I did it one day and she looked at me like, oh man, this is bad. Oh, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. You know, because if she's going to take out the time to get that pretty, you gotta notice that.
And that was the last time.
Yeah, but at least I admitted, you know. But see, that lets me know. But that made me have to go back. I had to go back and think about what all am I thinking about when I get home. So before I get out my vehicle, I'm leaving that foolishness in that truck. Because when I go in the house, I need to be fully engaged with my family. So I don't go in the house with all that. And if she come home and she still see me in there, she'll just go in. Because I don't want to come in with that. I want to come in with me. All of that can stay outside. So body language, being preoccupied. And that goes into, hey, you get home, you need to be focused on what's important. All that other stuff that you got to deal with in another day will be happening in 8 to 10 hours when you get up. All of this is so that you can love on your wife, your children, and love on yourself, because you got to replenish you.
Not being fully engaged.
Not being fully engaged. You got to pay attention. You have to pay attention to each other. You can't be looking at me and thinking about a drumstick. All right, you can't be looking at your wife and thinking about you got to change the brakes, or I got to go buy some fertilizer, or I got to go, I'm ready to go fishing. Whatever it is, get it out your mind, focus on that later. When you with your spouse, you need to be focusing on them. You can't be thinking about I got to go and make groceries and I got to do all these things. Y'all talking about something with you all, so what you want about groceries for, that y'all talking about together. That makes sense. But when you're preoccupied and you're not engaged, your mind is all over the place instead of where it's supposed to be. And focus at that time on your spouse. Because if not, therein lies the issue. And then you're going to see some different kind of body language, right? You're going to see some back of the neck, somebody leaving out the room body language because you done messed up. So what we really want to make sure that we put before you is that you got to invest in the relationship. And when you invest and you do some of those things, when you love, when you honor, when you respect, when you committed, you're going to get a whole lot on your return. And when you get rid of unforgiveness, when you don't allow yourself to be angry to the fact that you want to attack because you felt like, you know, you didn't win the argument. Ain't nobody no winning. Everybody losing the argument. Everybody losing the argument because one, you ain't together and you're not on the same page. So nobody won. It's not about you winning. It's about you understanding each other's point of view and then coming to some kind of agreement about this thing. One thing I want to say, and I'm going to say this again. If my wife and I decide we're going to do something and we have done research or whatever it is, whatever we've done, it don't matter what nobody else say. If we decide that we're going to do it and it tanks and it's crap, I don't blame her, she don't blame me. We made the decision to do it. We got whatever wise counsel we was going to get. It still didn't work. But I'm not going to blame her. I'm not going to do that. We made the decision. We just going to keep moving.
Amen. That's good.
Now, the one thing I will say is this. If I know that she has heard from God, I don't have to worry about nothing. I will just do because she heard from God. And the same thing with me. Because we've both been in that situation where we both heard and we didn't do it. They had nothing to do with unforgiveness. That just had something to do with being hard-headed. So when we didn't do it, or if she told me something, she see it in the spirit, don't do that, I go do it, oh yeah, you're gonna suffer. You know, because you didn't listen to the one that's connected to you. You have to do that. And so I learned from that, so I don't make those kind of mistakes anymore. Is it? What about the next? No. But you know, okay, so I just want to say this because when we talked about, when we talked about investments, she had came up with this thing of dealing with stocks. And we know that stocks can be anything. You got Walmart, you have Hammer Mill, you have what? Costco, different kind of companies, whether it's, I don't know, just different companies that you invest in. When you're looking for a return, it could be very high, it could be a mid-range return, it could be low, it could be no return. But one of the things that she said was, when you deal with stocks and you deal with investments, you share in the ownership. You share in the ownership of the company. So you are your own company and you have your own brand. I can't make your brand. We have our own brand, and we've been building our brand for 24 years. That's our brand. So when you see us, what you see is what you get. It ain't no difference. When she upset with me, it ain't gonna be like hidden. Okay, if she upset with me, I'ma know it. Y'all might not know it, but something is up. So that's our brand. But what I'm saying is your marriage, your company, your stock, the investments, that's your brand. And so your brand is gonna be however you present it to other people. And they're gonna invest in you based on your brand. Because you don't get this far without investment. Not just from us, but from other people. Other people that have strong marriages, other people that are raising their kids to become something, other people that are raising their kids to become something, but they got a difficult one here, a very strong one there. You're gonna have that. All of them not gonna be at the same level in their maturity to come out the way you want them at that time. They will get there. And so we were able to be fortunate enough to have two strong, just awesome individuals in our lives, and we were able to see how they treated each other. Both of them had the same number of kids that we had, and they all had different ranges of different kinds of experiences with those kids. And so for us, when we had to ask for advice or whatever, we sometimes, and she'll tell you, we were upset. Oh no, don't do that, don't do that, don't y'all do that. Because what if we did? It would have been bad. But we took advice from somebody that had already experienced something. And we learned from it, and it helped us with our own kids. So we just want to thank you for giving us time to be able to share some things with you that, I hope that will help you, but more so to help somebody else. Let your brand shine. And whatever your brand represents, just like a Nike, a Puma, or a Rolex, Mercedes-Benz, all of those Crocs, that brand is associated with specific traits. And those specific traits people are drawn to, that's why they buy it.